I had two sisters, Sarah Rivke, who was older, and I had a younger sister, Chaya, who was killed in Auschwitz.
And the brother?
A brother, Israel Lipa. He's still alive, living here.
Could you tell me something about your family? How would you describe them? Were they Hasidic? Were they non-Hasidic?
My father had a beard, and he was a businessman, but he came from, he was related to the Satmar Rebbe. So we didn't, I don't think we behaved like Hasidim, but the background was Hasidish.
What kind of business did your father have?
My father had a lumber shop.
Did your mother have to work in the business?
We all helped, we all chipped in. Everybody was busy with the business.
Did you attend school?
Yeah, we went to public school, and after public school, a lady used to come to the house to teach us how to daven, and that's how far the Jewish education usually went. It became a mother's job to teach you, as long as you know how to keep kosher, and as long as you know what holidays are. But when I was about 10 years old, Sarah Schneerer came to town, and she opened the Bis Yaakov. Of course, my father wouldn't allow us to go because the Satmar was against it. So the first year, I didn't go. But then I had no friends anymore because everybody else did go. So next year, my mother said, I don't care, but they will go to Bis Yaakov. And so I started Bis Yaakov.
Did you see Sarah Schneerer when she came to your town?
It's really funny that I don't remember. I think she was there, and I think I might saw her, but I don't know why that's something that I don't remember.
Who was in charge of the Bis Yaakov in your town? Was there?
There were other people, very from people who thought that the girls should get the Jewish education.
Who was the teacher?
She had both teachers with her.
Do you remember the name of your teacher?
No.
How many girls were in the school, in your class?
There were about a regular class, like 20, 25 girls, I remember. And there were a couple of classes, younger one and older one.
What did you study? What was like the...
Well, what we studied was, we studied more depthly about what a holiday is, because really we didn't know before. We just know that Pesach is Pesach. But why, we really didn't know. We studied by holidays. We studied about what davening means. I remember we used to do the Tehillim and Jewish. And then, of course, we had a lot of fun on Shabbos. There used to be like a Benos. We used to go and Torah Jewish songs. And it was really very exciting. In fact, I remember the first Purim that we always went to my grandparents. And I was able to tell a story about Purim. And how proud I was that Zayda took me on his lap. And I was so proud to be between 14 grandchildren. I was the only one who sat in Zayda's lap and told the story of Purim. And it was very exciting, very, very nice, very touching. So, of course, everybody else wanted to also go to the same school. And this went on for a couple of years.
What language did you speak in the school?
In the school? Yiddish.
And at home?
We spoke both Yiddish and Hungarian. My father originally came from, Ashkenazis come somewhere from Poland. So, and my grandfather lived in a place called Bukovina near Chernovitz, where he was a Dayan, and they spoke only Yiddish. So my father mostly spoke Yiddish to us, but we spoke Hungarian in the house also.
And your father and mother, what language between
Yiddish. Yiddish.
To go to this Bis Yaakov, it cost your parents money? Was it
Yeah.
free? Or
No, it costed money.
Did you learn secular subjects there too?
No. This was just after school.
After
We had to attend public school. In fact, we had to even go Shabbos to school. And like the friends, the guys' friends, the kids used to come and take our books to school with us. And Shabbos subjects were always light subjects, like reading and singing and stuff like that. But most of the time, we really couldn't be absent. They were very strict about it.
How many Jews lived in this town? How big of a town was it? What was the population of the Jews?
The population of the town, I don't know, but Jewish population was about maybe 150 families, something like that. So that was, you know, like...
What was the closest, largest city?
City, Dage.
How far were you
That
from
was
Dage?
about 30 kilometers.
Was there a Rav in your town?
Yes, sure. His name was Lichtenstein. In fact, his grandson is here in America, and he has a big kleiner yeshiva in Williamsburg. His name is Yidel Lichtenstein.
And was the Rav Hasidic? Or?
Yeah, the Rav was Hasidic, yeah. And of course, they had a big shul, and they had like a Talmud Torah, and...
all the Jewish families in town davened in that one shul?
In the shul and in the Talmud Torah, yes. It was a big shul, you know, like in the old time with upstairs for the ladies, you know. It wasn't like they make them here from houses. It was really big.
Was it customary for your mother to go to shul every Shabbos?
Yes, my mother did go every Shabbos to shul. In fact, we used to go always to meet them. But on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, we did not go to shul. There was no room for us in shul. As children. We just went up for Shofet Blossom, and that's it. And then the rest of the time, we used to hang around in friends' houses making our own minyan. Being that we had learned how to daven well, we used to go down there and we used to get like our own chazan. One of the girls used to take turns. In fact, I never forget when one Yom Kippur we were standing Shemoneh Esrei, so erlachol, and then all of a sudden somebody just boom fell. We heard a big bummer. We didn't know what it was. It turned around. One of the girls fainted from fasting. But that's how that's how it was. No girls going to shul.
What was the relationship with the Goyim in town? Did you have Goyish friends?
Yeah, our neighbors. We had neighbors. We had friends our own age, and we used to be friendly. We used to be in good terms.
Did you ever witness any anti-Semitic acts?
No, really, in those years, I don't remember witnessing anything really against the Jews. We did not live in the Jewish section. There was a Jewish section by the shul, and we lived in the other end of the town. That's where my father's business was. But we had enough people in that corner to make a minyan on Friday night in our house all the time, I remember. So we had the minyan.
Did you have, let's say, a Goyish maid in the house?
Yes, we had a maid all the time with the heavy-duty work. And we were considered quite well off. My father had other businesses besides that, with wine and other stuff like that. But we were...
Did you ever go out of town for vacation or travel?
Oh, we used to go to my Zeta's house all the time.
Where did he live?
He lived 12 kilometers from us. And my Zeta was a rich man. He had a very big lumber shop, and he had an import and export wheat business. Like a lot of people from the town used to buy. Once a week there was a market, and the Goyim used to come in and bring their product, and they used to buy all these people and then bring it over to my Zeta. There used to come people from far away, and they used to deliver with the train by wagon loads of merchandise from my Zeta. The weekly market day used to be there on Thursday. So when we grew up a little bit, we all went there. Every week somebody else went because they needed extra help to go there, and we loved going there.
What was the name of this place?
The place was Red Tag. It was a smaller town than ours, but it was a very, very nice town. People in town were terrific. There were such nice people. I used to have double friends, home and there. In fact, I still have a friend who lives in Williamsburg, who was the Sheikh's daughter, and we're still in very good terms. We still talk to each other. And
What is her name?
her name? Gitu, now it's Heimlich.
And what
No,
was
it was Heimlich.
the sheikh in that town was Heimlich.
Heimlich, yeah.
Could you tell me, like, what kind of newspapers came into your father's house? What did he read?
There used to be, I don't remember if they had Jewish paper, but I know that when it came Shabbos, the kid from next door always went to the stand to bring home, drop in the house some newspapers. But they got a couple of papers, what was circulating there. I don't remember.
What was the reaction to Zionism in your town? Do you remember?
Zionism, they did not accept it very lightly, but there were people who were like from working families young people who did accept Zionism, and many of them went to Israel.
Did you have any friends that went to Israel?
No, but I had a lot of aunts who went. My father were 11 children. One lived in Warsaw, one lived in Lemberg. My father lived in Romania, and the other ones were all younger ones. On the end, my father had 7 sisters and 1 brother living in Israel. Because as things were getting bad, that was the time of Chaim Weizmann and the time of Jabotinsky, and they all came and they talked to these young people and told them, we got to have a land of our own, and encouraged them. And things were getting, as time goes by, things was getting worse. So a lot of my aunts went down to Israel.
As single girls?
As single girls.
What was your grandfather's reaction?
Very bad. My grandfather was very upset, of course. He was a Dayan who was learning all the time, and I remember as a little girl going there for Pesach once, and the people were coming with the shilas, and he was very against them. But they always said that there is no future staying here, and we have to go build our own land. And that's what they did. They all got married in Israel.
Do you remember what year they left? Did they leave as a group of girls? All your aunts as a group?
They from that place where my grandfather lived, from near Chernobyl, they left in groups, yes. And my last aunt went in about 41, or when Hitler was already really pushing down. And in fact, I still have 4 aunts who live in Israel now. And that's why I went last year. I wanted to visit them. They're not young people. But these are the ones that really helped build Israel. One of my aunts, 3 of them were kindergarten teachers. They were all very educated, knowledgeable, and they all educated themselves, not by going to college. And they all became teachers. One of them married a dentist, and she tells stories how they used to go from kibbutz to kibbutz and carrying the bundle with the instruments on their back and working like that.
Were there any youth groups in your town? Like, did you belong to any?
No. After the Beis Yaakov, no.
How many years did you attend Beis Yaakov?
I don't really remember, about 3, maybe 2, 3, maybe 4. I don't know, because then the Hungarians came in and things started changing.
When did the Hungarians come in?
I think in 39.
And when you say they came in, what does that mean?
They overtook. They took over the government, and
how did that affect your life?
that started affecting us already badly.
Give examples.
For instance, certain businesses that were like government businesses called, like for instance, like they would have here tobacco and like not everybody could open a whiskey shop or stuff like that. Those were government run businesses, and those were taken away from Jews.
What about your father's business?
Was taken away from my father too.
So what did he do for a living?
Well, we had the lumber shop.
That they didn't touch.
No.
The lumber they,
No.
Did you see any anti-Semitism now?
Then, yes, then it started already. Then
Could
it
you give an
started.
example?
Well, we weren't allowed the Goyish help anymore. Like the girl used to come in during the night to help when nobody sees her coming into the house. And they sort of like didn't want Jewish people with beards walking around. I remember that's when my sister and my brother started becoming acting in the business even more, because they had to travel weekly to the wholesale places to where they were cutting the woods and stuff. So my sister and my brother used to go because my father had a beard. So.
And what did you do at this point?
Oh, I really didn't like being in business. I liked being in the house. I learned how to sew. I met a young man once when I was in my Zeta's house, and he was a lawyer, and he was telling us that they don't let him practice law anymore, so he became a businessman. And not only that, but he's learning to be a mechanic, because eventually he will have to go to Israel, and you have to be able to do something with your hands to survive. And that, my mother wanted me to learn to sew, but I really didn't want to. But he had such power over me that when I came back that day, I told my mother, yes, I want to go learn how to sew. And I did go learn how to sew. They paid money for me, because in Europe, if you went to work, learn a trade, you had to be an apprentice for 3 years. So my mother paid money, and I only learned for 1 year, but they did teach me everything, and I became quite good at it, and it helped a lot. It saved my life in Auschwitz when I sewed for the couples, and it really helped. It helped here in America too, when the chips were done.
Did you hear what was happening to Jews in Germany and in 39?
Yes, we heard, because there were trains coming down from Poland with youth, with young people going to Israel, and they had to go down to Constanza to get the boat to go to Israel. And we used to go out to the railroad track and bring them food. And they were like young kids, 13, 14, 15, and they all said, get out of here, they're coming. And we just wouldn't believe it. We said, no, it can't happen to us. Really, nobody believed it. That's why so many people got stuck being killed, because nobody really believed that anything like that could happen. I remember my father going to the governor of the state, who lived across the street in a villa, like all the big wires, surrounded fences, and you know, the people from the town, the elders, got together and they went down there. And he said, nobody's going to touch my state. There is no such Germans who will touch my state. But when it came very fast.
When the war broke out in Poland, and did you hear about ghettos being set up? Did you hear about camps being set up? Did you read that Jews were being killed?
Honestly, I don't remember.
Did they have discussed at the table or by your grandfather?
Yeah, they discussed it. In fact, my grandfather had a radio, and that was such rare commodity those days, that we, the children, used to go outside on the sidewalk watching for the police, that they should be able to listen to Radio Free Europe.
So then you must
They know, but we were always protected as children. They didn't discuss too
what
much
about
with
your
us.
relatives that lived in Lemberg and lived in Warsaw?
We didn't hear from them. We didn't hear from them for, you know, in the last couple of years. I don't really remember about it.
Did they try to get them to come to?
I don't really remember anything. I don't remember.
So the years that, let's say 39 until 44, you would say life in your home and in your town was,
Yeah,
quote,
just
normal?
sort of like not normal, but quiet.
Did you have enough food?
Food, yes. Plenty food.
Did people get married?
Yeah.
Any weddings?
My sister was engaged to get married.
Bar mitzvahs and...
Well, there is no such thing in Europe
Europe
as bar mitzvah. You took them to shul and you gave an aliyah, and that was the bar mitzvah. In America, they made a business out of it.
Could you describe your sister's engagement? Was there a...
Nothing much. No.
Could, for the, you know, the record, what was the engagement like in Europe compared to...
Nothing much, just the families got together and they had a l'chaim and that's it. And that was the
How
engagement.
did your sister meet her fiancé?
They used to come visiting in town to relatives there. And that's how they met. I mean, somebody just like put them together and that's it. It was a very nice young man, nice family. And today, what they do in America, it's really unbelievable. And I don't agree with none of it, with absolutely none of it, what they do here. I think it's mamish coming to like to be a Chilul Hashem, what they do. They just open the eyes for the goyim to hate us more than they really do. I don't think that a bar mitzvah should be a bar mitzvah the way it is. I don't think an engagement and a vart should be first a vart and then an engagement, and hundreds and thousands of dollars should be spent on it. And I don't believe in the only thing that I remember that they had Sheva Brochas for 7 days, and that was in town, in my Zayda's house. We had a couple of people come in to cook and bake, and they opened the tables in the yard, and all the people from town came, and everybody, poor people, had a chance to eat and to be happy, but that's it.
Did your sister get married?
No.
Did not. She didn't. Okay. Could you describe what it was like when the Germans came in 1944?
In 1944, in the spring, the Germans came in with a lot of ammunition, a lot of tanks. I remember standing in the room and from behind the curtain watching. I said, my gosh, I never saw so much tanks, so much stuff coming there. Like they were just for days and days, they were just marching through the town. And of course, once they came in, we had to wear the Jewish star.
Was that the first law that came out?
Yeah, you had to
Could
wear
you
the yellow
describe
star.
it?
I really don't know how. I just know that the law came that we have to wear. No Jewish person could get out of the house.
Where did you have to wear it?
On the left side.
In the front and the back?
No, just in the front. And I remember fighting it. I just put it on with a pin like. In fact, it was Erev Pesach, and we had 250 forced labor workers, Jewish boys who were working on the making roads. And they stayed in our lumber shop because, you know, it was so big. It was like a block long. And the boys used to sleep there, and we used to have like cows, so they used to sleep on top of that. And it was Erev Pesach, and one of the guys was a lawyer, and they wanted to get permission for the boys to go into shul on Pesach. So we had to go down to the Hungarian headquarters and ask for permission. So there were 250, so they gave permission each day half. And of course, from some of the half didn't want to go because they weren't frum. There were plenty of unfrum Jewish boys. So I went with this lawyer down to the station, and we got the permission. And when we came back, 2 German soldiers followed us. And I had a feeling, I just heard the way they were walking. And I said, somebody's behind us. And all of a sudden, they were in front of us and stopped us. And they started asking me my name. And they just said that they want to take me into the German headquarters because I was laughing about the German soldiers. And all of a sudden, I just had this thing, and I said, well, I'm underage, and I'm not going without my mother. So he said, I don't have your address then. And I remember looking at the lawyer, and he says, give him the address. I gave him the address, and we ran back home. And next door was a Hungarian, for these workers' headquarters. And right away, my father went there to say, listen, there's trouble. And before anything, I started sewing on my star because my star wasn't sewed on, and it's supposed to be sewed on that you shouldn't be able to stick a pencil in it.
That's tight.
Tight. And I took fast, I sat down and sewed down my star on my coat. And my mother, I remember, she dressed in peace, gave me everybody's coat to sew on the stars fast. And by the time I finished sewing on the star, there was a knock on the door and the 2 German soldiers were there.
What happened?
They came in, they said that I was laughing about the German soldiers and I have to be taken into the headquarters. And I told them, I said, I'm underage, I'm not going alone. So they said, bring your mother along. And there we were, walking down back to the headquarters, my mother and I, with the soldiers holding the guns on us. They took us in there. And meanwhile, my sister ran across the street to the governor's mansion, and they said that they took my mother and my sister to the station. So it went such a fast thing that they took me in, and I spoke German, and this lieutenant started interviewing me and saying, why did you laugh about the German soldiers? And I said, I did not laugh. He said, you mean a German soldier is lying? And he started interrogating me like that, and it just got to a point that he said, well, what you did is a terrible crime and you deserve death. And I remember holding my mother's hand and saying, well, there I go already, that's the end of me. Might as well open my mouth. And I started speaking to him in German, and I said, I want to ask you something. I don't think I committed such a crime that I deserve to be killed. And he picked his head up from the papers that he was doing, and he looked at me because not too many Jewish people have the nerve to open their mouth to a German officer. And by that time, I looked out the window and I saw the governor's daughter coming with my sister. And then I knew that everything would be all right. And they called him out from the room, and he was out for a couple of minutes, and then he came back and he said, okay, we put you on probation, so we won't kill you. That was Erev Pesach. I came home with my mother, and it was terrible. It started to shake. And my mother took her scissors and cut my blonde hair down, because I had sort of dirty blonde hair, and she cut it down all the way short. And she gave me a tichel, and she said, here, you wear this from now on, and don't you dare get out of the door. That was Friday, and that was Erev Pesach. I remember the dining room was set up with the candlesticks and dishes and everything for the Seder. And we had a couple of people who were Shomer Shabbos that came to the Seder. And it was a very, very sad Seder. And
were you still able to have matzah and
yeah,
wine?
we had matzah and wine and potatoes and eggs. We had our own chickens. We used to go out and pick the eggs every day. And we had a very big yard, the garden that my father used to have people work, and we used to have potatoes and all kind of vegetables and stuff. So we had the Pesach. It was very sad. And I remember my father, when he said Lashon Habo Yerushalayim, when he finished the Seder, it was so sad. It was so, like he had a feeling that this is the last Seder that we will spend together.
Did people realize that something was going to happen?
Then we already realized. Then we knew that we didn't know about Auschwitz, but we knew that there was trouble. What they were circulating then was that they will take us away to labor camp where we will work. The mothers will watch the children. The young people who are capable will go to work and come back every night. But in Romania, not out of Romania. And we believed them.
So you didn't, even in 1944, you still didn't hear the stories or any
No,
rumors about
I had no
concentration?
idea there was such thing as an Auschwitz camp.
What about your father? He was a
I
businessman.
don't
He
know.
dealt with people.
I don't know. I just know one thing, that my parents had taken a lot of, taken money and gold, and they buried it away. And the fact is that everybody knew where the gold and the money was buried except me, because they found me to have a big mouth and that I spilled the beans maybe, and they didn't tell me about it, and I never knew. And then after the war, and my brother came back, he digged everything out, and he was just lucky that just then he took out the money, they were switching the money into new currency. So he was able to use the money. But I didn't know nothing about it. And then Pesach was over. Shabbos, Sunday morning, we got a knock on the door, like 4 o'clock in the morning.